In order to acknowledge them, we have a category which has been there, that you are noticed.
Hello and a very warm welcome to Great Principles. I am Seema Chodia. I bring to you another celebrated figure from the world of Indian academia, Mr. Sanjay Yadav, Principal Alcon International School, Mayur Vihar, Delhi. Let noble thoughts come to me from all directions. These words found their way into the book of our very own Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, Ignited Minds Unleashing the Power Within India. He inspires us and leads us on. And today, I have someone with me who gave up his career to become an educator. Our guest today has had the opportunity to not only meet our beloved missile man of India, but also have a deep conversation that changed the course of his life. From a scientist to becoming an educator, our guest has picked up the baton from our former president and relaying and rallying knowledge to Gen Next. You all are invited, all my dear viewers. Come on, let's welcome our guest of today, Mr. Sanjay Yadav, Principal Alcon International School, Mayur Vihar, Delhi. Welcome to Great Principles.
Thank you, Semaji. Thank you so much.
It's an honor to have you here, sir, and it's such a privilege to have a conversation with you and to understand the vision of the visionary man whose vision is now your vision.
I'm equally delighted, and thank you for this opportunity. Of course, we believe, and the only thing which I kept sharing with everyone, especially in last 18 months, the way we have moved forward and the way we have gone through, I said that let's believe in creating stories, because stories are the best way to inspire. And that too, if they are inspired, the moment a child or a person wants to watch a movie, and the moment it is written, a caption comes that it is inspired by true life events, so there is a different level of excitement the moment you want to see that you understand this is something which has happened, and let's try to understand what happened and how did this happen. So this is how our life is, a story, and let it be open and transparent. If at all it can bring inspiration to anyone. And I want to compliment you and your team for this wonderful effort, that you are connecting with people and you are bringing such stories. I did happen to see the shows which you have already recorded and which were telecast or which were presented to different people. So I really want to compliment you for that.
Thank you so much, sir. And we are all set for our viewers to get another inspirational story out here. So let's unveil this inspirational story of our guest today, Mr. Sanjay Yadav. Starting with the very first question, sir. Once upon a time, you worked with ISRO. That job is a dream job, for many aspiring scientists out there. You were certainly surrounded by some of the brightest minds of the country. So, my viewers and I definitely have a question. What incident made you become an educator?
Wonderful. See, there are certain things which are your true nature, and at times you need somebody to guide you to that. Maybe one incident which becomes a changing moment in your life, and that makes you realize that yes, this is the calling. So of course I recall it that when I was in college or when I was even in school, I had this passion. So I can now with pride say that I was a born teacher. I have always been sharing. And the first inspiration of teaching came when I used to find a topic very difficult, which is a not natural thing. Anything which was difficult, the best way to learn, I used to, in hostel, particularly in my college, I used to put that up on the notice board in common room, that okay, this is the topic which is going to be discussed, and I'm going to teach. Anybody has difficulty in this topic, you're most welcome to come to my room and let's have a discussion on that. And obviously there were initially hesitations with people. They said, what is he going to teach us, and we can teach him and all that kind of thoughts were there. But yes, there were some genuine students who felt that okay, there's no harm, let's go and discuss, and maybe there is something which is there for us. And gradually when it started happening, I found that there were more and more people who started connecting, and then the demand started coming. Okay, Sanjay, if you're free, I want to discuss this, and have you read this topic? And I would say that yes, I have read this topic, though I had not read. But I took it up as a challenge. I said, let's discuss it today. I have got something scheduled, so we'll meet tomorrow and we'll discuss it. And I would spend that day to learn, to understand, and to understand in such a manner that I should be able to explain it to somebody. So this was something which was happening, and in my subconscious mind, maybe it was already preparing me to be a teacher, but still, I kept on working. And then, yes, as you mentioned, I consider myself initial my first passion which was there was, I had not mentioned, I wanted to join defense services. That was my first passion. And I'll be honest with you that I have faced SSB twice. One was for the Air Force services and one was for the defense services. And I don't know whatever may be the reason, but I had not been able to join them, though I did reach till, I would say, a significant level where very few candidates who were among the shortlisted, I was there. But yes, the call did not come to me, and ultimately I did not join. And no regrets. I've always been a man of no regret in my life. So I was happy. I said, fine, because my parents and my elders, they have always taught me that whatever happens, happens for the best. So have faith and keep working, because life is a journey and you never know when what will happen. And in the meantime, there was a competition, all India level competition, which used to be conducted by Gujarat University. They had started a course of very high specialization, which was considered, and it was a UGC sponsored course. So way back in 85, 86, if you can see somebody getting a UGC stipend and a scholarship to get selected among top 15 candidates in the country to join a course of space sciences and their applications under ISRO, and then there was Physical Research Laboratory as well as Institute of Plasma Research in Ahmedabad. So I got selected for that. And the moment we walked into our classrooms, our schedule used to be very tight. Very tight in the sense, morning 7 to 12, we would have classes. After the classes, it used to be an hour of lunch break, and after the lunch break, spending time in lab, another 4 or 5 hours. So look at the theory classes. If they were for 5 hours, equal amount of time we were spending in the labs also. And after that, it used to be the assignment, the questions which we had never seen before, problem solving. Basically, we were being prepared because you're going to face the problems, and how are you going to solve. And then after going through certain phases of those courses and training and information, we would get selected for doing some kind of project. So one of the initial projects which I happened to get was with the director of Space Application Center, Professor Pramod Kale. He was yet another visionary man, and he was the director. Obviously, to have an opportunity to interact with him itself was a great thing, and to work on a project with him. And then, of course, the journey continued, and I could see the kind of passion these people had. And they were literally, I would call them that they always meant business. And there was very intense discussion which would carry on. So if we correlate it, it was literally higher order cognitive skills which were all the time being tested. And this is what I keep telling my children now also, that in times to come, you will really have to have the expertise to work on that. At the back of the mind, that passion for joining defense services, and then this research and development aptitude and this scientific temperament, all these came together. And in spite of working on projects with ISRO, I did apply for a position of a scientist in Defense Research and Development Organization, that is DRDO. And DRDO was being headed by Dr. Abdul Kalam. So we had an opportunity. Of course, it was the opportunity came in the form of an interview. And after different rounds of interview, the final round which was happening, there I happened to meet him. And what a man, what simplicity, what clarity of thoughts, and what passion. The moment we started interacting, he said, Sanjay, I never have any regret in life, but there's one thing which I'm very passionate about. And if you follow me, you will be able to see that whenever I get an opportunity, I talk to children. I talk to young people, and they are the ones in whom I see the future of our great country. So my advice to everybody, and today if we see that children, they want to become engineers, they want to become doctors, they want to become entrepreneurs, they want to become successful business professionals, but how many of them would say, I want to become a teacher? So this is something, and think of it, there is going to be a knowledge bank which will be derived out of this country, because there are no good teachers who are going to prepare. How, suppose you get selected and you continue working as a scientist at DRDO, how much will you be able to contribute? You'll be at the most one single scientist who might win some accolade for yourself or for the country. You might do something which will impact a smaller segment of life directly. But if you connect with young children, if you teach them and if you prepare them for life, the effect is going to multiply. And that was a statement which kept ringing bell in my mind. Still, it was not that I came into teaching directly. One of my friends, he was discussing with me and he said that there's a Premier Institute in Delhi, and there is a vacancy for teachers. And since he was also doing research, he said, I don't want to depend on my parents, honestly speaking. So just to earn something on my own and become independent, I want to apply for the position of teacher there. And would you be interested? Because I was working on projects. I was not full-time engaged, but I was on projects. So I said, there's nothing wrong. So he did fill in my form also. And he said, okay, we'll go and see. It'll be fun. This is how we walked into the interview board. And obviously, I got selected immediately. And then when I entered the classroom, I could, the words of Kalam Saab started reverberating my mind that yes, I walked with, I may say, use the word overconfidence, that I know and I can handle this class and these students very easily. But the moment interaction started happening and the way these children would turn the course of discussion, there were so many new perspectives which were coming, which an individual cannot see. So I could see that multiplying effect which was playing its role. I could see that yes, you just need to generate or create a spark, and you can see that how many different minds they were, be it collaboration, be it learning from each other, and be it working together. And that was the day after that there has been no looking back. So I'm really very, very happy that teaching, which was actually my calling, I got the opportunity to work, and I've been working with children. And each day I say that, yes, I've been learning from them. So this is how the biggest inspiration in our life comes.
Wonderful, sir. You know, your journey is truly an inspiration for many to never give up. You know, we have our calling, and at times what happens is we start blaming destiny. But, you know, destiny has altogether different plan for us. We just need to keep working and keep doing and keep ourselves motivated to achieve what we are destined to. And here is Sir's journey. And Sir rightly said, these young children have a very different approach towards learning. You give them an opportunity to collaborate, to team up, and then you see the results. And very truly said, sir, not the students, they will never say that I want to be a teacher. Even the parents, if you ask them, would you like your child to be a teacher? There is not a single hand that will rise up. So this is the situation today. And yes, very rightly said, we'll be short of teachers if this continues like this. The profession which builds other profession will be in danger, right? So yes, let's see how does the NEP works up with bringing up the
Definitely.
profession and the quality of the teachers and treating the teachers also well, so that more people join this profession by choice.
There's a wiser thought which has been put in NEP, and the way teacher education is being looked up, and the way it has been picked up as an earlier career option, that 4-year integrated graduation degree where you are being prepared. So that is definitely going to create a lot of excitement. Though earlier there were certain courses which were offered by regional colleges of education, which were MSc Ed, or these were the courses where education degree was along with your masters, which was there. But now with NEP coming in, it's a very wise decision, and I must say that it is going to motivate a lot of minds. Plus, the way our society has started looking at teachers, the way our children, they have started learning, because in school life, the maximum inspiration in a child's life is that of a teacher. And nobody forgets their school life teachers. I know my first or second batch, particularly when I taught. Those were the children I was talking about, that when I walked into class and interacted with them. So today, if they connect with me, they actually ask me, sir, please give us some time. I want my son or my daughter to come and meet you and understand, because my wife and me, we both have been teachers and we both have taught them. So they say they have heard so many stories of both of you all, that we actually have generated that curiosity, and they keep requesting ki sir se ya ma'am se aap kab milwa rahe ho.
Right.
So this is how we meet, and we interact with young children. At times we understand their perspective, and we go back to our students who are now the parents, and we tell them, see, this is where you need to understand your child. And I believe there's one motto which I always keep sharing with all parents or all elders. I use the word, I say that behind any problem which you perceive it as a problem, and say that children have attitude, or they don't understand, or they don't respond the way you want them to respond, uh, 90% of the cases, if you do the root cause analysis, you will find that it is the elder which is at fault. So you have to look at it from their perspective, because you brought them up differently. Always don't keep telling them that when we were students or when we were children, this was the situation. It's not their fault. The way we have brought them up, the kind of exposure they are having. So there's a different perspective, and you must learn to honor that and respect that.
That's
So
so
great,
true.
wonderful.
That's so true. In today's time, it's so true. It's not their fault that they are being brought up in this kind of situation. We can't just compare that when we were kids, we used to follow this. Now the things are actually, completely upside down, and we need to learn first and then blame our children for anything. A wonderful thought by Sir here. Going ahead in our conversation, Sir, you were a part of team that was responsible for the progress and safety of our country through your scientific endeavors. So, how do you manage to keep your team and students involved and inspired to seek true learning?
Uh, should I say that I learn from them? They are my source of inspiration, and every day we look at, just about 2 months back, I was talking to my admin team when I was going to school. One fine morning when I was driving to school, early morning, I felt so sad, honestly speaking. And the reason for that was, I said, see, there have been such wonderful time where every morning we used to get up so excited, we used to be energized, and we would look forward that, okay, here is the time. And I was the person, however far I have been staying from my school, I would be the first person to reach school and receive everyone personally and see them off personally. This is something which I have been doing all this long. And I said, today, look at the empty road, I'm driving and I'm going to the school with no hope that I'm going to meet children, or even my team members are not going to be there. So that was something that hit me hard that day. And it took some time. In fact, the people who saw me in the second half of the day, they said, sir, we could see your face in the morning and we felt there's something wrong. That was one day where the realization came that, yes, we are actually looking forward to meeting them. So when it comes to inspiration, I say that it is the reverse mentorship, reverse inspiration, which is the driving force, which is the source of energy for all of us. And that's why we look more energized at the end of the day than as compared to in the beginning, because after finishing a wonderful day with children, and especially at the time of arrival and dispersal, I prefer to keep my office doors wide open. So any child who wishes to walk into my office doesn't have to take any permission. I have even told them that even if somebody is sitting there, if there's no serious conversation going on, which means my door is open, so you can walk in. And I used to make sure that at that point of time, nobody is there to interrupt their coming. And there were children who would simply come and hug you. There were children who would come and shake hands with you. There were children who would come with a small little question, ask you, sir, do you know this? I have read this wonderful thing, or can you answer this question? There was a child, I started, in fact, avoiding him. I'll give you a reason for that, because every morning he would come and ask me, sir, do you know what is the capital of this country? And after my knowledge bank got exhausted, I said, now I have to find ways to move away from, because I may not be able to answer. So one fine day I sat with him and I explained, I said, see, this is a wonderful thing which you are doing. And your sir is not as intelligent as you are. But this is something which what you do, if you ask me questions, if I'm not able to answer, then at least do one favor to me, that you give me that answer. So this is how the child, I should say that his inspiration was maintained. He still had that opportunity of conversation open. The other thing, when I was talking about that, yes, when we kept interacting with children, so in as a subject teacher, as a class teacher, when I would enter the classroom, uh, I used to, as a class teacher, always write a quote on the board to begin the day with. And it just used to be very organized board. So there were about 5 6 years later, then an alumni walked into my office and he asked me, sir, I have noted down all the quotes which you had written. And there was one particular quote which you had written, uh, use your brightness, use your light and dim your brightness. So I want to understand and discuss with you that whatever I understood from that quote, is it correct or not? And then we kept on discussing on that. So there are small things which make the bigger impact. And in spite of being a very sincere and serious physics teacher, you may understand, as a subject teacher, I was honestly speaking very sincere and very serious, that when it came to subject matter, obviously I had to give due justice, and plus the amount of knowledge I could gather from everywhere. So I always tried to give as much as possible to my children, and my classes would go abstract, because starting from one point and bringing in so many different perspective and correlating them to real life experiences and how they would work. Even as children, we used to always ask question that the government is spending so much of money in space science project, and India is a country which has agriculture, which has poverty. Why so much is being spent in all these projects, and how is it going to benefit? And the moment I started working with ISRO, the moment I started looking at the project, a simple project like, say, a particular district which was having scarcity of water, a satellite image, the reflection of satellite image made us, we were given the project that find 30 spots where by digging deep, we will be able to extract water. And we realized that, yes, this is the power of science and technology. This is how it can help a life. Maybe making a roadmap for a city. Manual survey would be one option, and the other thing, and these things we have done way back in 90s, I miss. So just looking at the satellite image and converting it into a roadmap. And it was such a fun that you just take the image and then use various filters, and it would emerge out, the map would emerge out. And today these things children can relate very well, but at that time it was like a magic to us. So when we are looking at school, school is a place where the foundation of a nation is being laid. uh, Children have to be connected with the societies, and they have to be empowered to create the society they want to live in. Because maybe we were not so empowered, we were told that aisa hi hota hai, this is the way system is, and that you have to adapt to this and you have to live in it and contribute whichever way. But I have seen that today the youth is so empowered, they have so much of energy, they have so much of resource with them, that if we foster this student agency, if we allow them to do what they want, they will bring in innovation, they will bring in solutions, and they will be able to think differently, because they are not living in the age of industrial revolution, where a person would only look at the food or the shelter or certain basic necessities to be met, but they are in the age of social revolution. And in social revolution, they want to connect with societies, they want to understand, and they want to take. And then simultaneously looking at the team, because when the balance, as a leader or as a head of the institute, it becomes essential to create a balance or generate an ecosystem which is able to support our children. So be it the parents or the teachers or even the support staff who is working, everybody has to be told one single purpose. At least in my school, everybody says that, yes, what are we here for is for children. So what can we do? And I tell them, especially support staff, when I talk to them, I said, आप ये सोचिए कि this is your child studying in the school. How would you wish your child to be treated by others in the system? Forget about that you are an employee here. See your child in that. And now you treat that child and find the solution for that child, because there will be children who will approach you for something or the other. Always try to find out that as if your child is approaching you, and how are you going to expect, how do you expect that this problem to be solved? So this is what is one biggest inspiration. The moment we bring that calling, it makes a difference. The other thing, of course, as I said, that the root cause analysis. Straight away, even to the parents, I advise that whenever a child asks us something, the first answer is always a no. In 95% of the cases, first thing is, the first reaction is taken for granted. No, no, this cannot be. Can I go for dinner out with my friends? No, 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 it's going to be late, and why are you going out? So this is where I say that, yes, when we are working as facilitator, when we are preparing our children for life, because education is not what you have taught in curriculum, it is the pedagogy which is important, it is the life skill which is important. They are going to forget very soon what has been taught in the textbook. Even what is taught becomes obsolete very soon. So what are they going to remember? That this was a situation. In that situation, how did you prepare them? How did you empower them to that situational leadership, that they should be able to take a decision on their own? So the inspiration comes from there, that yes, how we can say that these are our core values, come what may, whether you want to use tantrums, or you want to use any sentimental blackmail or whatever, there's going to be a no for this answer. So after some time, they will realize that there's no point asking this question. However, there are other things where we should see their perspective, and we should be able to give them that concession. We should be able to allow them that, okay, these are certain things for which I don't even need to take permission. I just need to inform that, okay, I'm doing this, and that will be acceptable to us. So the moment that kind of relationship builds up, and this effect of this relationship, I have seen that at times children, when they are writing their board examination, particularly in class 12, that there was one student who, one fine day I was going back home, and who came and stood by my car, and he said ki, sir, मैं घर जाकर के नहीं पढ़ सकता, that environment kills me. So now I'm going with you, here is my bag, and I'm coming to your home. I'm going to stay with you, and you will take me to the center. I will write the exam, and till the exams get over, please, there's nothing, आप किसी भी कोने में मुझे घर पे रख लीजिएगा, but I'm going to stay with you and I'll write my examination. Though it so happened that after writing first examination, and I kept communicating with the parents, I said, don't worry, he's there with me and I'll take care of him. After writing first exam, first exam ki anxiety was maximum. And it used to be, at that point of time, physics used to be the first examination, you can imagine. And he was going with a physics teacher in whom he could confide. So comfortably, he kept studying, and he had dinner. After dinner, we went walking and discussed a whole lot of things. And after that, I took him to the center. And after center, he said, sir, I think it's not that bad. Now I can go back home and I can face rest of the examination. So this is something which my teachers have been doing now also. There are incidents which are reported to us where a child locks up himself or herself in the room, not willing to open the door to the parents, or not willing to talk to anyone. And there we not even send our grade 11, 12 teachers. Rather, we say that, okay, this child was very fond of this teacher in nursery. So why not to send that teacher, because he maintained connect all this long.
Right.
And then when the teacher goes and knocks at the door and says, okay, so and so, I am here, that voice is such a comfort in the child's life, and they come out. So we believe in, number one, we have to first of all prepare them, because this is the lesson which we experienced and we saw it even during the pandemic. So when we are looking at the team which has to support, they have to be, if you don't want them to stress out, you have to equip them. You have to equip them, be it with technology, be it the capacity building, whatever is desirable, this has to go. Identify the core strength. It is always said that if you are going to ask an elephant to start singing or a fish to start flying, that is not going to happen. So the same thing happens with the team also. In team also, when we build the team, we know the core competencies of certain people. They are able to identify, like my core competency, I was not able to identify, somebody guided me, somebody identified and said that this is something which you can do, and that became my calling. So we identify, we say that this is something you are good at. So why don't you start talking to people? Why don't you start doing? And then we give them a smaller group within the team, that all right, now you start building capacity of others, because this is something you are very good at. The moment they start doing it within the team, we see that the way it is shaping up, then we say that, okay, now here comes the opportunity. Tomorrow we have a request from so-and-so school where there are a group of 50 or 100 other teachers, and we want you to empower them. Share your knowledge and experience with them and learn from them, and whatever you have learned, come back and share with us also. So this is how leadership is prepared. Leadership does not mean, it is an opportunity, it is a journey. So today you are a leader. I worked with one of the schools where, there are different responsibilities which are given to teachers, that you are an examination in charge, or you are looking after the timetable, you are looking after the discipline. And that school believed that holistic development of teachers also, not just for the child. So they would not have a permanent fixed timetable in charge or a fixed examination in charge. Rather, every year they started changing, so that you get an exposure. And the biggest problem among the teachers which we come across, I'm getting too many substitutions, I'm getting too much of workload. So tomorrow you are going to be in that position, and bring justice to this. Guide everyone that this is how it can be managed. When you are in that position, you'll be able to manage. So everybody has to step into the shoes, and I'm sure that this is where the best learning comes out. So that's really wonderful seeing how journey shapes up, and how people accept challenges, and how they come up with innovative solutions, because you might not have even thought of that solution, and they come up with those solutions.
Certainly.
That's really exciting.
All, I think all the school leaders are nation builders. And if they all adopt the leadership style, which is participative, approachable, and with a growth mindset, which the person, a leader who thinks about not only his growth, in fact, the growth of entire team. If we have all such traits, and of course, the lifelong learning skill. If leaders have such traits, school leaders have such traits, then the school will flourish, and ultimately, we will have better, responsible citizen being shaped in the school. So this is, I think, this is what I have summed up from Sir's answer, and this is the approach to be adopted, needs to be adopted by the school leaders out there. So moving ahead in our conversation, sir. Sir, in my eyes, I think there is already a very big achievement with you, and that is having an opportunity to interact with the mentor like APJ, sir. From humble beginning, you rose to, to the highest order of respect, and that is being a teacher. So I would like to know from you, which is your greatest achievement as an educator?
You're talking about one. There are infinite achievements, because every child who
I'm sure there will be infinite, but I would like to know that one you are most proud of.
I'm proud of my teachers who have become leaders. And in fact, if somebody is doing very well, we make sure that we acknowledge them, be it at social media platform or be it at any other platform. So we have a culture. We have a culture of creating leaders by acknowledging them. And I'll give you a simple example that when in-house teacher awards are also given. So in that, we have created a category, which was done by my mentor. I'll talk about it little later. So one of the category, just like in film awards, it is there, the new entrants who are there and they are there. So we also have something called as a rising star. And rising star is a category we have kept it only for teachers who have experienced less than 5 years in school. So that the youngsters, they feel that, yes, I have an opportunity and I can prove myself. And it is not only those who are 20, 25 years experienced and the veterans, they are only going to be acknowledged, but we have an opportunity. There are some people, I relate myself to them again, who are simply sincere and silent worker, who may not want to come in the forefront, but yes, they are very passionate about their work. So in order to acknowledge them, we have a category which has been there, that you are noticed. This is the caption which is given. So this is a category for which a teacher doesn't have to even apply for an award, but it is various section heads and the school leading team says that this is a person who means business, who is thoroughly professional, who knows his work, and he is so shy or she is so shy that they don't want to even come in front and mention. So these are the acknowledgements which are there. Uh, when I remember in one of the schools, my principal, when he wrote a card and gave me, I still preserve that card, which is there, in which, thank you, Sanjay, you are a sincere and silent worker. And these words, they keep echoing in my mind. And they are a source of inspiration till date. It inspires me to do the work. So that card, or the children, whatever their handwritten notes which are there, the way they have expressed them, the way they come back and connect, even children who have gone to study abroad. And if one of our students, I'll share with you one of the batches which I taught, out of 30 students, 27 of them made it to IIT. Now you can imagine the classroom of that kind. And a poor teacher like me entering into that classroom, what role did I have to play? These children, they were such brilliant minds, and they were all the time up to problem solving. So they would just float. I would only go and write, okay, today we'll discuss this topic. And they would start asking questions from each other. And then in between, when I would get an opportunity, I would interrupt and say, okay, why don't we look at it this way? Why don't we solve this problem? And there, if a child got up, who had, I think, among top 10 ranks in IIT at that point of time, and he stood up and he said, brilliant, sir, good answer. Now, can you imagine, can there be any award bigger than that? So that recognition, you can imagine how nice I felt. I said that at least a child of that caliber is acknowledging my presence and saying, brilliant. It's not about the problem solving, but it's the connect. That the way, if there are people, there are children who, wherever they are there, at any part of day or night, they feel empowered, they feel connected, that they can just make a phone call and talk to me. There have been times, especially during trying times now, there were people who were staying abroad, and their parents were here alone, and they would call, sir, can you help? My father has to reach the hospital, and I'm not even able to get an oxygen ambulance. And at that point, if somebody could think of me and approach me, what can be a bigger reward than this in life? So these are certain things which keep us inspired. And I pray to God that let's hope people have that connect, and they always they never hesitate in reaching out to me for that. And I'm sure that this is the biggest blessing which comes in our way. So the recognition which my children are getting, which my teachers are getting, and the reward, the biggest reward which I get from my children and from my team members who feel that yes, we can approach sir anytime, we can talk to him. And I keep telling them, I said that don't expect that I have any magic wand. I'm not going to bring a solution to your problem at all. But yes, God has blessed me with the power of listening. And you can be convinced with that, that I will put in a sincere effort. Whether I can bring a result or not is immaterial. But be rest assured that there's going to be a sincere effort on my part. And then that effort gives me the satisfaction. So this is how we live our lives.
I think so, for every teacher who is passionate, it's not about the monetary benefits. It's about the recognition, the appreciation from the students they get. And what a proud feeling when the children or students come to you and they say that they are my kids and we would like them to know about you also because our children have heard so many stories of you. So that is certainly, and when a teacher touches so many lives, I'm sure it's very difficult to talk about that one proud moment because every day you have such amazing moments in your life. So an amazing answer, wonderful answer given by sir here. Going ahead, sir. So, we have been talking about your mentor, your inspiration to be an educator, and that is Mr. APJ, sir. But now I would like to ask you, there would have been many more memorable events. So name an educator who is recognized for his or her academic outreach and passion in your journey.
So I have already named two people you can see who have been my inspiration. Professor Pramod Kale, who was Space Application Center Director. Dr. Kalam, of course, we started our conversation from that. But apart from that, there have been so many people in different ways they have inspired us. And being a physics person, I had the opportunity to connect with Dr. Ashok Pandey, who is my current director of Alcon Group of Schools. And we used to connect as physics people. We used to connect as educators, and it was that magnet. Why I call it a magnet? Because the way he has empowered people, the way he has acknowledged their presence even for children. Imagine a child walking into his office and he is able to recall that when you were in grade 5, that time when you came to me, you did this thing and you asked me. And these are the references he gives. So that is something which I really look up to. That kind of connect, of course, he had a long connect with me, and I have been going from place to place. And in fact, I've worked out of my 31 years of working, about 20 years I have worked outside India. I had the opportunity to work in schools outside India. So there are children where, of course, when you work for a longer time, you build a connect. I remember when I had gone for one of the SSBs that was for armed forces, there was one of our officers who was the in charge of the group. After first interaction, he could remember everything told to him by a person. And he would recall, and he says that 10 years after also, if you meet me, I'll be able to tell you what is what. These are gifted people. But with Pandey sir, what I have seen is, yes, the way he makes a person believe himself or herself. That is very important. You may be having the power, you may be knowing about what you are doing it, but somewhere, if we start talking about self-assessment, nobody is going to give 100 or 100 to themselves. In fact, people are going to be more hesitant in awarding or acknowledging their qualities, and they will always have that sense of doubt in themselves. Okay, on a scale of 5, should I rate myself 3 or 4? And there's somebody who guides, holds your hands and says, no, there's nothing less than 5. Come on, you have to put it here, because this is something I have never seen anybody better than you. So that's the way he touches people. And that is something which is my inspiration. So I'm fortunate that I'm working with him. in close coordination. And my journey of learning, as you said, that the learning is always there. So I get to learn so much from him. He tells stories again, real life stories, so that they become inspiration for everyone. And there's another thing which he has motivated me, and this was something which was told earlier also by people, though I'm still not up to the mark on this, is about writing. He believes in inspiring children, teachers, and everybody, that you write your stories, you write your experiences, so that others can read, because every time everybody may not be able to listen to you. But what you have written, and today living in this age where anybody can have a blog and you can write your thoughts and you can share it on social media platform. So this is something which I'm still aspiring to be. Maybe the time management or whatever needs to be done. There are a lot of thoughts which come in your mind, and when I ask a question from a person, I say that, what is your first reaction to this? That is going to be the true reaction. The psychologist simply say that if you are sitting and answering somebody, so you don't even have to blink your eyes. You don't even have to move the moment. This is how the defense psychologists, they would analyze, the interviewing officer would say that if you have blinked your eyes, or even if there is a slightest movement when you're sitting on a chair and talking, in that much we know that you have flipped your answer. So if you are still and you are looking eye to eye and you're speaking from your heart, and whatever is your first reaction, is at times their questions are designed in such a manner that they get the answer from your subconscious mind. So they are able to read that psychology. So here is one educator I look up to and I'm working. And of course, there are innumerous inspiration, because as I said, that I strongly believe in reverse mentoring. So there are a lot of young people looking at their passion, looking at their achievements. I derive inspiration from them, and I say that, okay, even if I am in a position to help them, to support them, to guide them, to mentor them, uh, make me able to do so. That's how I wish and pray.
Wonderful. So it was great to hear about Mr. Ashok Pandey, your inspiration, a living legend, I think, who is helping others to be the better version of their own selves. And that is something wonderful to do.
And there's Seema, I'll just interrupt here. There's one thing which he has introduced. This was again, I would say, my calling. But then the ecosystem I walked in, and when I looked at it, I might have shared at various platforms that when we are educating, we are not talking about the curriculum, we are not talking about the subjects or the knowledge which has to be given. But as I said, that it is the life skills. So when we are looking at life skills, and when we are looking at making our world as a place to live in, this is something which has very passionately come in our culture. And we are nurturing it, because on day in and day out, every day we talk to children, be it a nursery child or a grade 12 child. We ask them about resources. We ask them about what can you do for people. We ask them about how do you partner with them, because you are a global citizen. The time has come that the walls have already broken down. School buildings have no relevance. When we are talking, now you are sitting there and I'm sitting here and we are having a conversation. What can be a more beautiful moment than this, that we can connect? So I had one person who would walk into the lab. My lab assistant was there, and he would wish, like we wish good morning. So he would simply wish, he being a thorough Muslim gentleman, he would say Assalamu alaikum the moment he would enter the lab. And I asked him one day, I said, कि यहाँ पर तो मैंने किसी को नहीं देखा, I have not seen anybody, who are you wishing? He says, sir, these are the instruments, these are the equipments, these are the spaces with whom we work. And we need to even acknowledge them, and we never know who is there. So this is the kind of acknowledgement, this is the kind of human acknowledgement which is essential, or I would say that even acknowledgement of nature around us. So we believe in teaching our children that in every lesson, in every action, what you do, everything, whatever you do, what are we going to do? How are we going to convert this greed to basic need? And a lot of learning has happened during this pandemic time also. So people have understood that what is needed, what is essential, and what should we focus on. So that focus has to come. The moment children start connecting with that, I'm sure that there's going to be no day where the schools are going to be shut down for maybe excessive pollution or due to pandemic or any other thing. But the power of human potential to reach and connect with each other will definitely make this world a better place to live. So if we are guilty of not giving them the kind of world or society we wanted to see. At least let us do our duty of empowering them and guiding them so that they can create it, because their power is immense and they'll be able to do that.
So true, So when we empower our children to make the world better than what has been handed to them for their future generations, that is when the change will happen. And you rightly said, this power of connecting is wonderful, And pandemic has taught us that the world is for us. There are n number of opportunities. It's up to us. How do we avail those? So, on this wonderful note of connecting and empowering, we reach to the very interesting segment of the show, which is called Rapid Fire Round. Sir, you have to answer in one word or maximum a sentence. Here goes the first question. You spend your recreational time indulging in activities like
Gardening.
gardening. All right. Who is your favorite celebrity?
Amitabh Bachchan.
All right. Nature is. What does nature means to you?
Nature is life.
Beautiful. Nature is life. Introduce us to your pets.
I have got two pets right now. One is Bruno, a pug, and the other is an Apso. Name is Tipsy. And I have always had pets, but currently I'm having these two of them.
Amazing. If given a chance to spend a week on a remote island, name a person, a book, and your favorite music that would be your companions.
Now, that might sound a bit odd, but I will wish to spend that time alone with nature and myself, and I will not want anybody around, to be honest with, because that is where I will be able to feel the power of silence and live in that.
Wonderful. Beautiful answer. And it was very interesting to know you in this segment. So, Sadiq, someone who would love to introspect, love to connect with nature, love to be in his own, own journey and know himself better by being in silence. So, it was great to know you here. Now, this brings me to the last question of the show, which is also called the viewer's choice question. And this one, which I have picked for you, which is called, what is your one advice to parent with regards to choosing the school? There are so many things, so many parameters on how to choose the right school. So how would you advise our viewers, our parents?
All right. So now, Seema, as we were discussing, I did mention that the walls have already broken down. So if we are looking at, yes, the first and foremost thing which I need to assure my parents when I talk to, and this is how I will say that, yes, this is a place where they should feel that their child is in safe hands. They should never have any regret that, yes, my child has gone to this school. So first is the environment which takes safety as the utmost priority, and the systems, the way their checks and balances are there, the way policies are there, it should be transparent and visible to everyone. Even today, after pandemic, if a parent wants to send a child to school, they definitely want to have that confidence. So let our schools be the place which give them that assurance, that confidence, right from the moment you enter, the way the security treats you, to the way the reception treats you, and the way you interact with the team. So do look for that. That is one thing where you observe how the children have shaped up. You are sitting as a stranger in a school reception, or if you are going for a tour and you see the children, they acknowledge whether they know you or they don't know you, and whether they are wishing you or not. They are connecting that acknowledgement or not. If that is there, definitely there is a good value system which is being taught to these children. So more than the academics, because today the knowledge is available at any platform, don't run after that what are the subjects which are being taught, rather what are the life skills which are being taught, what is the value system which the system talks about and which is reflected. And be a silent observer. The moment you just take a walk through, you will be able to feel that. And of course, the aesthetic sense, art and culture is something which I correlate with joy of life. So you should be, if it's a happy place, the vibrancy will be there. You will be able to feel that vibrancy. And if the child is walking into that happy place, the child will be a happy person. Because above all, the topmost virtue which we want to see in everybody who is doing whatever work, they should be happy with their lives. The meaning of happiness should be reflected in the system. So of course, do understand your prime need, but then don't ignore, because these are the factors nobody will say. They will want to see the qualifications of the faculty. They will want to see the kind of sports facilities which are there. Okay, what are the other labs which are there? What else is there in the infrastructure? And how does your admin team work? And all those things are there. But look at the happiness quotient of the entire system. Look at the value system of that place. How does it reflect? And look at the aesthetic sense. How well organized is the system, and how are the people in the system greeting and meeting with others? That plays a very significant role. And I'm sure the way you want to see your child, you will want to see that the people who are taking care of the child, are they also of that kind also or not? And then, of course, the other parameters can be taken into account.
Certainly, sir. And I think, sir, there is one more parameter which I would like to add upon the very foundation of my show, because we truly believe in this. Behind every successful school is a great principal. And I think parents, if they get an opportunity, they must try and interact with the principal or try to find about them, because he is the person who is solely responsible for ensuring that all these parameters function to their fullest. A school is not made up of great buildings or great curriculum. It is about how it is being delivered. You have the best curriculum, but if you cannot deliver in the right manner, it's of no use. So it's a principal, it's a person who is executing all this and ensuring that everything is being done in the way it was being envisioned by the founders. So he's the connecting point between the founders and the school teachers and the students. So, I think that is another very, very important parameter must be looked upon.
One doesn't have to reach out to principal. The principal should be reaching out to them. And as I mentioned, that at the time of arrival or dispersal, if I am available outside myself, be it the parent or the children, and I'm able to greet and meet them, that takes care of everything. So even with staff members, when I see somebody walking in, and if there is some particular instruction to be given or something to be discussed, it's done then and there. There's so much of time and energy saved that you don't have to call for the person for the meeting and this thing. There is a parent about whom I have to tell to the child, or there is a child whom I have to tell about parental expectation, and one morning we meet in the corridor, greet each other, and we say, okay, your father was talking to me about this thing. Or to the father, your son was talking, or your daughter was talking to me about this thing. The PTM is done there itself. So that is the accessibility open door policy, is something I want to thank you for bringing this perspective. But yes, we are the facilitator, so we have to be available, we have to be approachable, and always open, with open mind.
Certainly, when you have a transparent, clear, and open line of communication with the parents, that is when this whole ecosystem functions properly, the way it should be. So this was a very insightful and enriching session, sir. It was really wonderful to hear your story. Thank you so much for your time with us. We really feel privileged to have you here on Great Principles.
Thank you for the opportunity, and please do visit us whenever you happen to be in Delhi or in Mayur Vihar. I'll be more than happy to welcome you and make you talk to some of my teachers and children also.